The algorithm doesn't build authority. It reveals it. Producers may notice moments, but they book experts. And what makes creators stand out as experts or attract the media's attention, it isn't necessarily platform mastery, it's proof, background, audience trust, and systems that hold up beyond that clip. This is Think Like a Producer, an on-cam ready presentation. I'm Jamie Maglietta. I've worked in television news for over 20 years, and I am a media readiness strategist. Most people think creators succeed because they've cracked the algorithm. But from a producer's standpoint, that's really kind of true. These creators who last and the ones that the media actually notice, they succeed because they've engineered that clarity, credibility, and repeatability. This is also for traditional media analysts that are the original influencers of news. We would always have the same person on a legal topic because they became notable and recognizable to the audience. Now, in the social media feed, creators and even you, heck, even I, we're becoming the face that people connect with. And in order to build trust, you need to keep showing up and explain who you are and what you have to offer. And the best way to attract press, if that's your goal, is to lean into the media tied to your industry. And in this episode, we're going to talk about a few creators who are doing just that. There are systems that can really help you shine online. Credibility is key. Those credible creators usually have a clear editorial lane. Now, as someone who's been testing the waters and figuring out where I belong after a long career in television news that ended with me analyzing the media, I had that moment of like, maybe I want to be out of news for a while. And I took a good break. However, it's really hard, having been in the news for so long, to completely remove myself. And I've had to redesign my editorial lane and pivot and adjust. And you may be there too. But once you find that lane, you need a repeatable format and that credible anchor like education, experience, subject matter, authority building type content. Content that works before distribution is even amplified across social media. So I like to tell people, show up on YouTube, show up in like a newsletter, Substack, LinkedIn, long form first. Then tweet about it. You should be tweeting. Show up on Instagram about it. Short form content sells your long form ideas. Keep that in mind. And producers are looking for unique points of view. If you're an expert and you're really trying to attract, you need to start thinking like a producer. I'll give you some case studies. Erika Kullberg is one of those people who I absolutely love. She is so clever. She talks about everything. The fine print. And what's great about her is she's engaging. She's thinking visually. But she's taking the who, what, where, when, and why that you learn in journalism and applying it to social media. She's helping people understand the fine print. She has clear credentials, and I think that her explainer-first framing is something you as a professional can replicate in your own way. This is a really great way to position yourself as an expert. And if she were to say, hey, I want to start being recognized by traditional media as a legal commentator, she's got the background to stand on. Because she has no like and trust and all that engagement. Now, that may not be where she wants to go with her career, but it could be what you want. And what I'm saying is, if you want to do what Danny Savallo says in my episode with him on Unknown to Known and think outside the box and realize that as a legal commentator, You don't need that Harvard degree or a big case to get noticed and really shine. You need a really good energy on camera and point of view. And that's what she has. And that's what I like about her as an expert. I think the lesson here, if you have credentials, your job is to make sure that it is clearly defined within your content and that you have a clear point of view. Another one who really focuses more on like media literacy is Kelsey Russell. I came across Kelsey's page not too long ago, and her TikTok is insane. Look at this. 112,000 followers as of this recording in February of 2026. She loves to read the paper and she tells people what's going on. She's become a media literacy expert. She's positioned herself as such by repeating her formula over and over and over again. Reading the news on TikTok. She's prioritizing understanding. She wants her audience to have a transformation. And that's one thing I keep saying to my clients is like, if you really want to connect with your audience, A, you need to know who you're talking to. B, you need to really understand who you are as an expert and what you have to offer, which is where I've been kind of faltering, figuring out where I belong after a long career in television news. I mean, I'm still figuring it out, but I know this. I really want to help more people like you before you seek press. You come to me before you get that publicist so I can help package you so that the pitch lands. And she has a good package. I think that if she wanted to do more than she's doing and lean into that traditional media, she could. Now, she has a YouTube channel, which is very small as of this point. But again, she is someone you can mimic and try to duplicate her consistency to elevate yourself in your own industry. Again, I really want you to look at these case studies as ways that you can also inform your audience and become a trusted source. Okay. The next one, I actually got as a recommendation for this video. So I just started to get to know him. Marques Brownlee, do you know him? If you do, let me know in the comments. If you know any of these people that I'm talking about, share your thoughts. I'd love to hear. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll see that I'm pulling up Marques's YouTube page, 20 million subscribers. Guys, I have vidIQ, so I'm actually going to click on this. Ooh, what does it say? His estimated earnings on this account are between $72K and $200,000 a month. And he is a technical expert, and he's ranked number 8 in that category. He's clearly identified who he is and who he serves. And that's what you need to do. And consistency, which is what Stephen Robles talks about in my conversation with him on Unknown to Known. He's also a YouTuber. He was saying consistency is really what helps you grow. Coming up with that formula. And it takes time, it takes practice, it takes testing like I'm doing, like you should be doing. There's people on LinkedIn who occasionally say, wow, you test a lot. Yeah. Because even as television news producers, we are constantly testing. How'd that open work? How'd that tease work to break? Did the audience stay across the break? Was it enough? How about the hook that we had at the end of that reporter hit to the guest? Did they stay for that? No, they didn't. Okay, we got to readjust this. Okay, every time, you see what I'm saying? You're constantly testing. And in this space, you can test and get analytics, which is fun. He is really clever and very evergreen with his content. He does these explainers and reviews, and I highly recommend you check out his page for ideas. Now, he may be harder to replicate because he's a lot further along than you, but it could be something worth striving toward. Now, if I'm looking to book a tech expert and a publicist comes to me and says, oh, yeah, he's available to talk about X, Y, and Z, I might be like, yeah, he's got what it takes. All of these case studies that I've brought up are people that I would book if they were pitched to me. Why? Because they have credibility. They have content that proves that their style of communicating works. They also have tons of engagement. which shows that they are connecting and they have an audience that believes in them, that trusts them. So even if they weren't academically trained within that space, they've established themselves as the authorities. And if I'm a TV producer getting that pitch, I'm going to find a way to use them. You need to be positioning yourself, especially if you don't have that academic background. And I highly recommend you listen to that episode I mentioned with Danny Savalos, where he talks about his background and how he just kept going. There's this Kevin Hart quote where he talks about Scooter Braun and how Scooter Braun told him, you just got to keep on getting in line. If they had a competition and said, whoever can hit this pitch and make a home run, you get $1 million, and everyone shows up and gets in line. And the person who's really gonna stand out, potentially win, is the person that keeps getting in that long line and tries again. Because as that line keeps going, it shrinks. And that person on the line is doing all the hard work and potentially going to stand out in the end. You need to be that person. It takes time. There's some in the personal branding space who say it takes years, and it can. You just need to be very strategic. And that's why I believe if you want visibility, you need to think like a producer and build around what you know, not really what's trending. Design a format that you can repeat for years. Explain systems, not just opinions. And when you're distributing, you want to make sure that you also have a good distribution plan for your long-form content so that people know you're doing it. The creators that the media trust, they didn't start with platforms. They started with positioning. What creators like Erika and Kelsey show is that authority isn't built by saying more. It's built by explaining better. If you're a professional trying to position yourself for press, clients, or credibility, this is the model to study. Not because you want to be a creator, but because you want to be taken seriously. And if you want to understand how this all works at a strategic level, be sure to follow this podcast on your podcasting platform of choice or subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thanks again for being here, and be sure to check out my other podcast and YouTube show, Unknown to Known. See ya.